The hotel ballroom smells like old cigarettes and sweat. About 200 people sit on folding chairs set up around a small raised platform. The chairs scrape loudly every time someone shifts. Someone in the back row is chewing gum. Near the front, a photographer checks his light meter again and again. This is the West Coast Martial Arts Championship, February 1970, Oakland, California. It's not the biggest tournament in the country, but it's big enough. Fighters have come from 6 different states, different styles, different attitudes. Everyone here wants to prove something. Tommy Chen sits in the 8th row. He isn't fighting, he's just watching, learning, studying how everyone moves. Tommy runs a small Wing Chun school in Chinatown. He has about 20 students, mostly kids and older people who just want exercise. He makes just enough money to pay the rent, barely. Sitting next to Tommy is a friend he brought with him. The man had stopped by the school earlier that morning, and when Tommy mentioned the tournament, he agreed to come along. The man is wearing normal clothes, dark pants, a simple shirt, nothing special. He sits very still, hands resting in his lap, watching every match closely. He doesn't clap, doesn't cheer, doesn't react. He just watches. His name is Bruce Lee. No one in this room knows that yet. Bruce isn't famous, not in America. He's taught a few people, made a few connections. But to most of the martial arts world, he's just another guy who trains. There are plenty like him. On the platform, a referee prepares the next match. 2 fighters warm up on opposite sides. One of them is huge, about 6'2", maybe 220 pounds. He throws high kicks that snap loudly through the air. His uniform cracks with every move. The other fighter is smaller. He looks nervous. He keeps pulling at his belt and adjusting it. The big fighter is Rick Santos. Everyone here knows Rick. He has won this tournament 3 years in a row. He fights kickboxing style, with heavy punches and even heavier kicks. His record is about 42 wins and 1 loss. That 1 loss happened years ago, when he was still new. Since then, nobody has beaten him. Rick has a reputation, not just for winning, for how he wins. He hits hard, too hard for point fighting. Last year, he broke a man's ribs in the final match. The year before that, he knocked someone out cold. Referees are always telling him to hold back. He never does. The match begins. It ends 90 seconds later. Rick throws a roundhouse kick. The smaller fighter tries to block it. The kick smashes right through the guard and slams into his ribs. The sound fills the ballroom, like a baseball bat hitting a tree. The smaller fighter drops to the floor. He can't breathe. He can't get up. Medics rush in and help him off the platform. Rick lifts his arms in the air. The crowd claps, but it's weak, quiet. This doesn't feel fun anymore. The referee walks up to Rick and says something quietly, probably another warning about hitting too hard. Rick shrugs and answers him. The referee shakes his head and walks away. Rick suddenly reaches over and grabs a microphone from the judge's table. He's not supposed to do that. The referee tries to stop him, but Rick waves him away. "Ladies and gentlemen," Rick says. His voice booms through the speakers. "That's how you do kickboxing. That's how you win fights. Not with light taps, not with point games, with real power, real technique." The room goes quiet. People look uncomfortable. This isn't how champions usually act. "I've been doing this for 8 years. I've fought everyone worth fighting. And you know what I learned?" He pauses. "Size matters. Power matters." He points around the room. "All these smaller guys talking about speed and technique? Sure, that's nice. But when someone my size lands a shot, none of that matters anymore." He starts walking around the edge of the platform, working the crowd. Some people nod, others look annoyed. "I'll make this interesting," he says. "Anyone here think they can stop one of my kicks? Anyone want to try to block just one?" He smiles. "You block it, I'll give you $100. If you don't," he shrugs. "You'll learn something about real life. No one moves, no one volunteers. People came here to watch, not to get hurt." Rick looks across the crowd, waiting, letting the moment stretch. Then he points straight at the 8th row, at the small man in regular clothes sitting next to Tommy Chen. "You," Rick says, "you look Chinese. You probably do kung fu or something, right?" Bruce doesn't move. He doesn't even look up. "Hey, I'm talking to you." Tommy leans over and whispers, "Just ignore him. He's showing off." Rick doesn't stop. "What's wrong? Scared? I'm just offering a demo. 1 kick, you try to block it. Easy money if you're as good as those kung fu masters say you are." Heads turn. People lean forward in their chairs, trying to see who Rick is talking to. Bruce finally looks up and meets his eyes. His expression is completely neutral. "I'm not here to compete," Bruce says. His voice is quiet but carries. "Who said compete? This is just a demonstration, unless you're afraid." Tommy grabs Bruce's arm. "Don't! This guy's dangerous. He's hurt people." Bruce pats Tommy's hand gently, reassuringly. Then he stands. The crowd murmurs. This should be interesting. The small man is going to attempt to block a kick from the champion. Most people already feel sorry for him. This appears destined to end badly. Bruce makes his way to the platform, not hurrying, just walking normally. He climbs the steps. The platform sits elevated about 3 feet off the ground. Bruce steps onto it and faces Rick. The size difference is striking. Rick has 6 inches and 80 pounds on him. Rick's legs are thicker than Bruce's torso. This looks like a grown man about to kick a teenager. "What's your name?" Rick asks. "Does it matter?" "Just curious who I'm about to educate." "Bruce?" "Bruce what?" "Just Bruce?" Rick laughs, turns to the crowd. "Just Bruce, everybody. Give him a hand for having the courage to come up here." Scattered, mostly polite applause. People feel bad for Bruce. They think they're about to watch him get hurt. The referee approaches, looking concerned. "You sure about this? This isn't an official match. You don't have to do this." "I know," Bruce says. "He kicks hard, really hard. You understand that?" "I understand." The referee sighs, looks at Rick. "Light contact. You hear me? This is a demonstration, not a fight." Rick nods, but his smile suggests other plans. How do you want to do this?" Bruce asks. "Simple. I throw a roundhouse kick, same one I've been using all day. You try to block it. If you block it, you get $100. If you don't," Rick shrugs, "you get a free lesson in reality." "And after I block it?" Rick laughs. "You mean if you block it?" "I said what I said." The confidence makes Rick pause briefly. This small man actually thinks he can do this. The confidence is almost charming. "All right, Bruce, let's see what you've got." They position themselves. Rick takes a few steps back to give himself room. Bruce stands there, hands at his sides, weight balanced. He looks completely relaxed, like he's waiting for a bus. The crowd leans forward, cameras ready. This is either going to be impressive or painful. Rick settles into his fighting stance, left leg forward, hands up. His rear leg chambers. The roundhouse kick is coming. Everyone who's watched him fight knows what it looks like. Fast, heavy, unstoppable. He throws it. The kick is perfect. Textbook form, hip rotation, full extension, the kind of technique that takes years to develop. His foot blurs through the air aimed at Bruce's ribs. Bruce moves. It's not a large movement, not dramatic. His body shifts maybe 6 inches to the left. His right arm comes up, not to block, to redirect. His forearm makes contact with Rick's shin just below the knee. The kick changes direction. Instead of driving through Bruce's ribs, it swings wide, misses completely. Rick's momentum carries him in a half circle. He stumbles slightly, has to plant his kicking leg quickly to maintain balance. The crowd goes silent. Rick resets, stares at Bruce. Lucky. Bruce doesn't respond. "Let's try that again." "Your choice." Rick chambers his leg again. This time he's more committed, more aggressive. The kick comes faster, harder, aimed at Bruce's head now instead of his ribs. Bruce ducks under it. The kick passes over his head. While Rick is still extended, still airborne, Bruce's hand comes up and taps Rick's supporting leg lightly, almost playfully. Rick's balance disappears, his supporting leg buckles. He crashes down onto the platform hard. The whole structure shakes. Now the crowd reacts, gasps. Some people stand to see better. What just happened? Rick gets up quickly. His face is red. That wasn't luck. That was technique. This small man just made him look foolish in front of 200 people, in front of the whole tournament. "You want to actually fight?" Rick's voice is different now, harder, no more showmanship. This is genuine anger. "I came up here to block a kick. I blocked it, twice. That wasn't blocking, that was running away. I'm still standing. Your kick missed. Sounds like blocking to me." Rick takes a step forward, aggressive. The referee moves between them. "That's enough. The demonstration is over." But Rick pushes past him. "No, this guy wants to embarrass me. We're going to settle this properly." Bruce doesn't move, doesn't raise his guard, just stands there watching Rick advance. "Rick, back off." The referee's voice is sharp now, authoritative. "This isn't a match. Stand down." Rick ignores him. He's too angry, too embarrassed. 3 years of dominance in some random man just made him look ordinary. He throws a punch. Right cross. A full power, not pulled, the kind that hospitalizes people. Bruce's hand comes up, intercepts Rick's wrist, not blocking, guiding. He redirects the punch past his own head. In the same motion, he steps inside Rick's reach, close now. His other hand presses against Rick's chest, right over the heart. Then something happens that nobody understands. Bruce's whole body seems to compress and then expand, like a spring releasing. The force travels from his feet through his legs, through his core, through his shoulder, into his palm. Rick flies backward, not stumbles, flies. His feet leave the platform. He travels maybe 4 feet through the air before landing hard on his back. The wind gets knocked out of him. He lies there gasping, trying to remember how to breathe. The ballroom erupts, people shouting, standing, some cheering, others yelling at the referee. cameras flashing. This is chaos. Bruce stands in the center of the platform, calm. He looks down at Rick. You threw a real punch. I gave you a real response. Rick rolls onto his side, struggling to sit up. His chest hurts, not from impact, but from something else, like someone reached inside and rearranged his nervous system. The referee is furious. That's it. Both of you off the platform, now. Bruce walks to the edge, steps down, returns to his seat as if nothing happened. Tommy is staring at him, mouth open. What was that? Tommy whispers. Physics. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. On the platform, two people help Rick to his feet. He's standing now but unsteady, one hand on his chest. He's looking at Bruce across the room. No confusion on his face mixed with something else. Maybe respect, maybe fear. The tournament organizer takes the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. Please remain in your seats. People are buzzing, talking to neighbors, trying to figure out what they just witnessed. A random man from the audience just put the champion on his back without even appearing to try. During the break, people keep looking at Bruce, whispering, pointing. Tommy fields questions from people in nearby rows. Who is that guy? Where's he from? What style does he do? Tommy doesn't know how to answer. He knows Bruce teaches Wing Chun, but what just happened wasn't Wing Chun, not traditional Wing Chun anyway. That was something else. Rick comes down from the platform. He's walking normally now. The shock is worn off. But something has changed in his expression. The arrogance is gone, replaced by something harder to read. He walks directly to Bruce. The crowd watches. This could be round two. Rick stops a few feet away. I need to know how you did that. Did what? Don't play stupid. That last thing, with your hand on my chest. I've been hit before. Hard. That wasn't like getting hit. That was like, I don't even know how to describe it. Bruce considers this. Sit down. Rick sits in the empty chair next to Bruce. Tommy scoots over to make room. Now the three of them sit together. What's your training background? Bruce asks. Started with karate 10 years ago, switched to kickboxing 5 years back. Been competing ever since. You're good, strong, fast for your size. Your technique is solid. But you rely on power. You think the hardest kick wins, the strongest punch wins, and against most people you're right, but not against everyone. Against you, you mean. Against anyone who understands that power without control is wasted energy. Rick frowns. That sounds like fortune cookie wisdom. Then let me put it differently. You kicked me with everything you had, all your weight, all your strength, all your speed, and you missed. Not because I'm faster than you, because I didn't fight your kick. I redirected it, used your own force against you. And the chest thing. You've heard of the 1-inch punch? Yeah, movie trick, right? It's not a trick. It's understanding how force travels through the body. Most people punch with their arm, generate power from the shoulder. That's fine, but it limits you. Your power is only as strong as your arm. But if you use your whole body, if you transfer force from the ground up through your legs, through your hips, through your core, then you're not punching with your arm. You're punching with your entire structure. Rick touches his chest again. It didn't feel like a punch. It wasn't. It was a force transfer. I didn't hit your chest. I transferred energy through your chest into your solar plexus, disrupted your breathing, disrupted your structure. That's why you went down. Rick is quiet for a long moment, processing. Everything he's built his fighting career on just got challenged. Size matters, power matters, those were his core beliefs. And this man just proved them incomplete. Can you teach me? Rick asks. Tommy laughs, can't help it. You just tried to hurt him and now you want him to teach you? I'm serious. Rick looks at Bruce. V, I've spent 8 years learning how to hit hard, how to be aggressive, how to overwhelm people. And you just showed me there's a whole other level I don't understand. I want to understand it. Bruce studies him, looking for something. Sincerity maybe, or genuine desire to learn versus just wanting to beat him next time. Why do you fight? Bruce asks. What do you mean? Why do you compete? What are you trying to prove? Rick thinks about this. I guess I want to be the best. Want to prove that my style works, that size and power matter. And after today? Still think that's true? I don't know what I think anymore. Bruce nods. That's a good start. Confusion means you're ready to learn. As long as you think you know everything, you can't learn anything new. So you'll teach me? I don't take many students. My time is limited. I'll work around your schedule, whatever it takes. Bruce is quiet, thinking. Finally he says, come to my school tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. We'll see if you're serious. Where's your school? Tommy speaks up. Chinatown, above the pharmacy on Jackson Street. I'll be there. Rick stands, extends his hand. Bruce shakes it. The handshake is firm, equal. No dominance game, just respect. Rick returns to his corner. The tournament resumes, but nobody cares anymore. Everyone's still talking about what happened. The champion got embarrassed by a random man from the audience. That's the story. That's what people will remember. Bruce and Tommy leave during the next match. Outside, the sun is setting. The street is quiet. They walk toward Tommy's car. You could have seriously hurt him, Tommy says. I pulled it. I know. But if you hadn't, he would have learned the lesson faster. Tommy unlocks his car. They get in. He doesn't start the engine right away, just sits there. You're going to teach him? After he tried to show you up? He didn't know any better. He's been taught that fighting is about domination, about proving you're stronger than the other person. Nobody's ever shown him there's a different way. And you're going to show him. If he shows up tomorrow, most people don't. They say they want to learn, but they're not ready to unlearn. Rick seems like he might be ready. Tommy starts the car. What if he shows up and tries to fight you again? Then he'll learn another lesson. They drive through Oakland, past shops closing for the day, past people heading home, past the whole normal world that doesn't know what just happened in that hotel ballroom. The next morning, 6 a.m., Bruce is at his school. Small space, wooden dummy in the corner, mirrors on one wall, mats on the floor. Nothing fancy. This is a working school, not a showroom. He's going through forms when he hears footsteps on the stairs. Heavy footsteps, someone large. The door opens. Rick walks in wearing gym clothes. His face is serious, determined. You came, Bruce says. I said I would. Most people say a lot of things. I'm not most people. Bruce gestures to the mats. Then let's begin. They train for 2 hours. Bruce breaks down everything Rick knows about fighting and rebuilds it. Shows him that tension creates slowness, that excessive force creates openings, that fighting isn't about being strong, it's about being smart. For Rick struggles. His body wants to do what it's always done, muscle through problems, force solutions. Bruce keeps stopping him, correcting him, making him start over. I feel weak, Rick says during a break, like I'm not using any power. You're using less power. That's different. You don't need maximum power all the time. You need appropriate power, just enough to achieve the result. Anything more is waste. But if I don't hit hard, how do I win? You don't win by hitting hard. You win by hitting correctly. Timing, placement, understanding where your opponent is vulnerable. A light tap in the right place beats a heavy hit in the wrong place. Rick wipes sweat from his face. This is harder than I thought. That's because you're thinking. Eventually you won't think, you'll just respond. But that takes time. They continue training. Days turn into weeks. Rick comes every morning, 6 a.m., doesn't miss a day. Slowly, things start to click. His movements become more efficient, less wasted motion. His power becomes more focused, more precise. 3 months later, Rick enters another tournament. Same hotel ballroom, different competitors. Tommy and Bruce come to watch. Rick fights differently now. Smaller movements, better timing. He's not trying to overpower people anymore. He's outthinking them, reading their patterns, exploiting their openings. He wins every match, but not by destroying his opponents. By being better, more technical, more controlled. In the finals, he faces someone his size, large, strong, the kind of opponent who would have given him trouble before. Now Rick makes it look straightforward. Slips punches, redirects kicks, or finds angles the other fighter doesn't know exist. The match ends with Rick landing a light sidekick to his opponent's chest, just enough contact to score the point. No excessive force, no trying to hurt anyone, just clean technique. The crowd applauds, real applause this time, appreciative. This is martial arts. This is what it should look like. After the tournament, Rick finds Bruce and Tommy outside. I wanted to thank you, Rick says. 3 months ago I thought I was the best. Turns out I was just the strongest. There's a difference. You were always skilled, Bruce says. You just needed to understand how to use your skill. What you showed me, that 1-inch thing. Can I use that in competition? You already are. You're just not thinking about it. That last kick you threw in the finals? That was the same principle. Power generated from your whole body, not just your leg. You're applying the concepts without realizing it. That's when you know you've learned something. Rick grins. I tell people I train with Bruce Lee now. Nobody believes me. Maybe that's better. Let your fighting speak for you. They part ways. Rick heads back inside for the award ceremony. Bruce and Tommy walk to the car. You changed him, Tommy says. He changed himself. I just showed him what was possible. You could do that for more people. Open a bigger school, teach seminars, make real money. Bruce shakes his head. I'm not interested in teaching masses. I want to teach people who are ready to learn. People like Rick who get their assumptions shattered and instead of getting defensive, they get curious. Those are rare. A few months after that tournament, Bruce gets a call, Rick's voice on the other end. I want to compete in Thailand, full contact kickboxing, real thing, no point sparring. You think I'm ready? Are you ready? I don't know, that's why I'm asking you. Then no, if you have to ask, you're not ready. When you're ready, you won't ask, you'll know. Rick is quiet. Then, how will I know? You'll stop fighting to win. You'll start fighting to understand. And once you're fighting to understand, winning becomes inevitable. 6 months later, Rick goes to Thailand, competes in a full-contact tournament, faces fighters who've been doing this their whole lives. He doesn't win the tournament, doesn't even make the finals. But he holds his own, learns, adapts, comes back different. He visits Bruce's school when he returns. I lost? I know. I heard. But I learned more from losing there than I did from winning here for 3 years. Then you won. Rick smiles. That's not how most people would see it. Most people don't understand fighting. They think it's about defeating opponents. It's not. It's about defeating your own limitations, your own assumptions, your own ego. The opponent is just the tool you use to find those limitations. The years pass. Bruce gets famous. Movies, television, Enter the Dragon makes him an international star. But he still runs his small school in Oakland, still teaches the people who are ready to learn. Rick continues fighting, never becomes world champion, but becomes something better. Becomes a master, opens his own school, teaches what Bruce taught him. That size isn't everything. Power isn't everything. Understanding is everything. People sometimes ask Rick about Bruce, about training with him, about what he learned. Rick always says the same thing. Bruce taught me that fighting isn't about being the strongest. It's about being the smartest, the most adaptable, the most willing to learn. I spent years trying to prove I was the toughest guy in the room. Bruce showed me that being tough isn't the point. Being effective is the point. And when they ask if Bruce was really that good, Rick just smiles. One time I challenged him in front of 200 people. Thought I was going to embarrass some random man from the audience. Instead, he put me on my back with one touch. Didn't even look like he was trying. That's how good he was. The story spreads, gets retold. Details change, get exaggerated. But the core remains. The day Rick Santos challenged a random man in the audience and learned that everything he thought he knew about fighting was incomplete. And that random man turned out to be Bruce Lee.